Okay, let's say.
Okay, we're.
I hear you. We have sound.
Yay, we did it.
Look at that, spazzing out. Thanks, Tamar, for joining. So I'm Natalie,
And
this is.
I'm Dory. Nice to see y'all.
Hi, and we have a program called Regretless Relationships. And so today we wanted to talk a little bit about lying in relationships.
That's right.
You know, so here we go. You want to start us off?
Well, we could talk. Why don't we talk about how we got to this? How we got to even this topic?
Because we've had such incredible experiences. I mean, the reality is I think that, if you date long enough and you're in relationships long enough, whether you're dating or you're married, you're going to experience lying. It's going to happen.
That's right.
Yeah. And there's, I guess, different levels of lying, like the little white lie, because it's a surprise. I like those. Those are okay. But then there's other lies.
Well, I know, because we were talking about, we were talking about why we lie and what's really underneath it, right? Now I remember.
Yes, what's underneath the lie, yeah.
And then we were talking about how, that there's something that we're trying to preserve when inside, for ourselves, that we can create the lie or even the white lie, but then what happens in relationships when we keep doing that, and what is it that we're trying to protect? And then that the ultimate of the lie or lies, like the ultimate in relationship would be like betrayal or infidelity, or anything that would go outside of the sacredness of the relationship.
Yeah, so let's see. Some of the things that I think that the reason that people lie is one, fear.
Yeah.
But part of it is the fear of actually being fully seen. There's this place sometimes in relationship that I've noticed where someone they like the image that they put out, and they like what they get as a result of having this image from their partner. And that part feels really good, but that might not be the whole experience of someone. And there could be some darker, other more hidden, and by darker I mean hidden, aspects of the self that they might not feel super comfortable coming out and confronting in relationship, because there's always this threat of a potential loss. Like, what if they're not okay with this other part of me?
Right.
They're most likely they're not officially okay with it either, right?
Well, yeah. And yeah, because I mean, what you're talking about is it's like a way that we hide ourselves, mm-hmm. Right? How we in relationship, and and like I think that it's really hard because there has to be so much transparency and vulnerability with inside a relationship, and really whether you choose to share or not share, it's about understanding like who you are and what's going on with you.
Yeah, there is responsibility in it, right? Like when you're in a relationship, there's responsibility, and it sounds like what you're kind of saying is that the more that we actually know who it is that we are, the better we're actually going to be in relationship. But when we don't, that can also be, it could be a surprise to our partners, right? Like, and that surprise may or may not be what they want.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really interesting because
that's mind. Hi. If you have questions or anything you'd like to ask us about lying in relationships, feel free to ask.
Yeah, but what do you think is the main reason that somebody would cheat in a relationship, right? Because cheating is like the ultimate lie, it's the ultimate betrayal. What do you think that's about?
You're asking me.
Yeah. Well, I've been cheated on, so I can talk about it.
Well, the funny thing is that, I mean, there are circumstances in relationships where it is the other person, and there is a real reason, let's say. But more often than not, infidelity happens because of something going on inside the person who's cheating. It usually has nothing to do with the other person. It's something where the person who cheats is lacking something or doesn't have the ability um, to speak up for themselves or ask for what they want or really say what they're needing, even if that need comes out to be, hey, I'm so unhappy in this marriage, I'm about to have an affair, like this is serious, I need to even think I could get it. But it's not being able to do that, right, and kind of hiding it and then trying to meet that need somewhere else. And it's always going to be easier to meet it somewhere else, at least superficially, at least in the moment.
Well, I think it's really hard for anybody to have that kind of a conversation to say, hey, I mean, that's really bold and that's really vulnerable to put it out there and to say, hey, I'm not happy here and I'm thinking about having an affair. That's a big statement in a relationship. I mean, for the person receiving that, it could throw everything into
Yeah,
chaos.
it can, but it's probably already in some chaos,
Yeah,
you know?
but it's a chaos that somebody likes, right? If everything stays the same, because people like it the same a lot, right? There's a sense of safety and security with sameness and routine and habit, right?
Right.
And if anything gets thrown off like that, well, that's really, really threatening, because there's lots of reasons that we talked about that. You and I talk about this to ad nauseum, that like reasons that people stay in relationship, which is a lot of different reasons. Sometimes it's just habit. It feels good. It feels safe. I like our routine. I like having somebody to go to breakfast and dinner with and travel. And that feels really good. But there might be a lot of things that your needs aren't getting met, but we compromise on some level. But when you have somebody say something like that to you, it's kind of like compromise is off the table. It's a whole new world of exploration. And are you willing and ready and able to actually face yourself and have that conversation with another person? Because if I'm saying to you that, hey, you know what, like, I'm not happy here, then there's some accountability for the other person. Oh shit, what am I doing or what am I not doing? How am I contributing?
That's right.
And
That's right.
I think that's the really, really hard thing. And so it's like, I mean, what's your experience with that, with clients who are faced with that?
Well, just to respond to what you're saying, it's like, I think that it's just so threatening, right? It feels threatening. Everybody lies because they're like, we lie because we're afraid. We're basically just afraid, of what the consequence will be, or and and also not everybody's going to be able to meet us where we want them to meet us. Like, our partner might not meet us and go, oh, really? I didn't know it was that bad. Like, really? You're at the point where you want to have an affair? Like, we really have problems. I mean, most people, they're not going to respond that way. They're going to respond like, what the fuck are you talking about? Right? I mean, how can you say that? We've been all this, they're going to probably react, right? Or be defensive. Um, or already going into some kind of blaming. So,
Yeah.
you know, like, how do we even enter into a relationship? How do we start relationships or enter into a relationship with transparency, right? And how honest are we willing to go? Yeah, it would be hard, but to be honest, it would be better to be honest. Because, I mean,
Well, I know for me personally, lying is a massive turnoff. I don't care if like I'm super attracted to somebody. If they lie to me, I feel nothing for them. I'm like, I don't think you're hot anymore. Like, I feel nothing for you. Don't touch me. Like,
right.
it's really hard because I like transparency. I think that's really hot. If somebody were to just be like, this is who I am and like this is how I'm feeling, I'd be curious. I'd be like, wow, okay, well, this sucks. But
Right.
tell me more. Like, when did you know this? What started this? What's happening, right? And how come you haven't talked about this before? But that's a conversation. But I think you said something that's really important, which is most people don't have conversations about this because they're triggered, they're pissed, and they're looking for someone to blame.
Yeah, and they're scared because they don't want to take accountability,
Oh, that
or
piece. Yeah.
be vulnerable, right? There's a lot of vulnerability in that kind of discussion. And I remember a conversation we had maybe when we were doing the program. I don't even know, one of our billion conversations. But one of the things that sucks about lying in relationship is that, and I think you brought this up, was that it removes your choice.
Oh,
It removes
yeah.
your, right? So somebody lies. It's like they've already tried to make the decision of how the situation go or how they want it to go. It's manipulation, right?
Yeah.
And then the partner doesn't get to decide how they want to handle it. So hearing the information, like if there's a lie, like if we're the ultimate betrayal, like cheating or infidelity or something, um, if that's in the space, um, oh god, I just lost my thought. Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on.
Done.
Oh, hold on a second. That happens sometimes.
It
Jeez.
happens to me all the time.
Oh yeah, losing the yeah. Um. So if you
But
yeah
you were talking about the choice piece, right?
yeah
It takes away your ability to
it takes
choose.
away your ability to choose. And if the person were to say, "Hey, this is how I'm feeling," or I'm feeling sad or disappointed in this relationship, or like I'm getting my needs met, and was really honest, right? Or I want more of this, or I want less of this, or hurts my feelings. You? Is there a way that we can talk about how you speak with me, or how can you be more helpful or express more gratitude? Those are lots of things that come up in relationships. Then it gives that part choice to say, like, to do something about it, to say, sure, I can. Hopefully they're like, oh yeah, like, I'm so sorry. I didn't know that was happening. And no idea, like, how can we navigate this together? Some version of that. And or not, or they might stonewall you and just say, too bad, that's the way I am, and I'm not going to do anything about it. And you have a choice. You give each other choices about what you want to do about the relationship. Where can you, is it possible, and is there something possible? It creates
Yeah.
possibilities.
I think that's really cool. But the other piece of it too is that, when somebody is lying and you take away your partner's ability to choose,
Yeah.
you're also taking away your own personal options, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't even know what your partner is capable of or what you are capable
That's
of,
right.
right? Because you can get into a dialogue and uncover that, what, neither of us really wants to be here. And
Right.
this is really hurtful. I wish I had learned about this in a different way.
That's right.
But I've also found myself attracted to somebody else. And while this is hurtful, like, I'm glad that we're talking about this.
Yeah.
But now you could learn something else, or somebody would be like, I noticed I've done this thing over and over again, and that you pull away from me when I do that. And
Yeah.
I don't want to do that anymore. Like, I want to
That's
work on that.
right.
But I think, you talked about it. It's like the accountability and the vulnerability. And I think when we talk about like accountability, this is, I'm going to use your language. It allows you not to be a victim to what's taking place, right? And that really helps a hell of a lot when you're being triggered by something that's pretty triggering. It's a pretty big deal. Like, I've had it happen to me, and it's heartbreaking to have someone cheat on you that you love. It hurts like hell. But it's such even though you're in pain, at least like I knew that when I held myself accountable for some of the ways that I had showed up that I did not like.
Right.
Not about him, but about me, how I didn't like it.
That's right.
I didn't feel as bad about what took place because I recognized, for me personally, this may not be true for everybody, is that I kind of chose this a little bit. I chose, the way that I behaved kind of chose a little bit of this path. Not that I chose him or pushed him to have an affair, but I most certainly was withholding in the relationship where I didn't want to give certain things anymore because I had my own feelings about what was going on in our relationship. Yeah. And then he went and he got his needs met elsewhere, which, I mean, okay, that's what happened. So it's a really interesting space, but it's also, it's like vulnerability, like accountability and vulnerability. Those are two of your words. Like every time I think of you, those are the words that come up. But this piece of vulnerability isn't just like, I think that sometimes we think vulnerability is like this, like we're all weepy and just like all super, like all over the place. It's really sometimes just these recognition moments of ourselves to ourselves. It doesn't even have to be shared with another person, right? And that's still vulnerable.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's powerful. It's actually how we access our power in ourselves. You know, it's like a lot of people think, oh, being vulnerable is it's gonna make me seem weak or like I'm not strong or I'm not confident. And the truth is that there is nothing stronger than vulnerability. There's ways to put it out there. I mean, you don't want to like, you know, obviously in a business situation or a relationship situation, you want to like, there's ways to do it. But that's always going to be a superpower. Always.
Yeah.
And
I love that.
I think we lose that. We do lose that when we lie, you know? Also we don't know. And I think the thing is too, is that things build up with people, you know, like like the snowball effect. Like there's this little thing and then there's this other little thing. And then, you know, sometimes by the time you talk about it, I mean, we've had this as friends. I mean, friends.
We literally had that just before this.
Yeah, I mean, we have our company, you know, we do all this stuff, right? And it's like little things build up and you're like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. I'm not going to address that. And suddenly it's like, blah, you know, it's like a whole thing. And we're like, okay, what's part of it? There's nothing about you talking about, you know, it's usually like somebody has a feeling, right? Somebody needs to express a vulnerability. Somebody has a need. And we need to express those needs and we need to express those vulnerabilities so we can get them met. And our only chance at getting those met is by letting people know that we're having them, you know?
It sounds so simple and yet it's so hard sometimes.
Yeah, it's totally hard. You have to learn how to do it.
I know. But it's kind of like, you know, it's like sometimes you're just like, I'll do it later. I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow's a good day. I'll do it tomorrow. Right? And I think it's really challenging. I think it's a really, it's hard to face ourselves and it's hard to face that, you know, when you're in a relationship, we influence each other, right? And sometimes we influence in really great ways and sometimes not so much. Yeah. We influence in direction where we become more self-protective or even sometimes step outside the relationship. You know, there's a lot of dynamics that lead to that. That's like way longer of a talk, but like,
yeah, it's a big,
I'm just kind of simplifying, but we have
but
a lot of responsibility.
Yeah. But I think that's the hiding part of the lie is that, you know, when we decide to go outside to get our needs met, outside of a relationship to get our needs met, you know, it's weird. I mean, this is where, like, let's say the cheater, like, I don't want to give any, like, positivity to it in a way, but there is a little bit. It's sort of like, in a way, they are trying to preserve something, right? And it's the only way that they know how at that moment, right? And you know, if they had the ability or the awareness or the connectedness to themselves and what they're feeling, speak up to their partner. They would ask for what they want, or they would, you know, would take that risk. But in a lot of relationships, you know, it always seems like what I see is that a lot of people are going to think that it's going to end something. It's just going to end. It's like they won't have it. He won't listen. I tell him this, he'll say too bad. If I tell her this, she's going to say too bad, or like, and so we don't they don't do it. They don't do it. For no reason, or they might even say go cheat. I don't even care what you do. Go ahead.
You know, I can, it's interesting that you're saying that because I'm just thinking of some clients, and I think my clients who've chosen to get divorces, one of the main reasons wasn't necessarily that the person cheated, but when confronted, they lied, or they found out from somebody else and would have rather have known from their partner so they could have the conversation and be given the choice versus them sneaking around and continuing to lie to them to their face.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's the more hurtful part. It's like almost like you think so little of me. Like you can't like that's what I hear, right? That's what I hear. They thought so little of me they couldn't even like face me and talk to me like I wasn't deserving of this.
That's right.
And that's frequently, at least in my personal practice, has been a real deal breaker for clients. I have clients who they can forgive, they want to know, they want to grow, they want to evolve,
Well,
they want to do all those things.
yeah.
But they can't when somebody lies.
Well, here's the thing, because of course they
Well,
can't.
not in the relationship on their own, yes, but not in the relationship.
The problem is that it's not okay, so what people focus too much on is the what it is, right? Like the cheating, the spending too much money, whatever the lie is, it doesn't matter, you know. But it's the thing that messes with people's heads and emotions in a relationship is the unraveling of the lies. It's like, and that's why the truth is so important, because it's like, you know, let's say you're married and you go to Vegas and you're like, whatever, guys trip, girls trip, whatever it is, and what happens in Vegas is also shouldn't to happen. It happens, right? And you come back and you say, oh my gosh, I got to tell you something. I don't even know how to tell you this. I was partying, I had so much fun, I was getting all this attention, one thing led to another, and I did this, right? What you what happens at that point is that there is a betrayal there that will have to be repaired. Like there's a fracture in psychology, right? We say a fracture that we have to repair. And there's an opportunity because there was honesty there, right? You can repair that trust, right? Because there's nothing to unravel or lies to unravel after that. Or maybe there's like a few lies of like a few days or something. And you go, okay, well, that all makes sense, but we could repair this pretty quickly. And because and the truth was there. And hey, what's going on with our relationship? Like if they're really looking at the relationship or with a good therapist, what's going on with our relationship that I found myself in that position, like, woo, we really got to look at this, right? Like maybe I'm not wanted or desired or sexy or whatever it is, like whatever happens there. But you have this opportunity. But when there's lies upon lies upon lies, and maybe months, years, or decades, it's like you find out that it's almost irreparable in a lot of ways. Some couples do make it. Some people will stick through it, but the hard thing is it's unraveling all the lies that were built. That they said they were doing this, or that time they did. That time they said they loved it, that present I got them. It could be the cheating. It could be just the whatever it is.
But it's wild because I think of the receiving end of that and watching clients as they sort of connect all of the dots of all of the stories.
Yeah.
That is, as a therapist, I think some of the most heartbreaking moments I have with clients, right? I mean, some of the most heartbreaking moments I have with clients because it's almost like what they come to is, holy crap, what I believed was my life was a lie. And it's now no longer just about the affair. It's personal. It's about them.
That's right.
And it becomes, why was I not good enough? How did I miss this? How can I trust myself? How can I know that the next time this isn't going to happen? And then that leads to all kinds of things, right? That can have a real negative impact, right? So you can get cheated on, and then you might be dealing with that for 10 years if you're not facing yourself and really pulling apart all of these fears and these sort of awakening moments where you think it's about you.
Right.
Like, you got to dive under that, or otherwise the suffering can really last a really long time.
It really can. Well, it makes you question your whole reality, and that so the damage isn't the unraveling. It's not. We're human. We're going to make mistakes. Things are going to happen, but it's all but those lies that we keep building on are what causes that damage, because we can't. It's so hard to undo. It's just hard. Anyway,
I'm not a fan either.
so yeah. So we'll continue having this. We'll continue this talk or other tips, right? And thanks to the people that have joined today.
Fun.
And we really
we got through our first live together, so it was very exciting. We're going to keep doing this. We're just going to pop in, so hopefully you guys can join us, and there'll be more people. And
if you have topics that you want us to talk about,
yay!
Thank you.
Well, thanks, Tori, for joining. It's fun. I'll see you soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Ciao.